This is Nick Kemp with episode 50 of the Ikigai Podcast, and I'm very excited to have calligraphy artist Rie Takeda returning to the podcast. Rie, you joined me on episode 32, on which we discussed mindfulness calligraphy. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I recommend you do so. On this episode, we will talk about your new book, Rie Shodo, the practice of mindfulness through the ancient art of Japanese calligraphy. Great to have you back on the show, Rie.
Thank you, Nick. Great to be back here again.
Yeah, it's good to see you. So congratulations on the book. Writing a book takes a lot of time and effort. So how does it feel to have the book in bookstores?
Oh, it's very happy and excited. I was very happy to hold the book physically in my hands
Yes.
after those hard years of writing it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's certainly a journey. So how long did it take you to, from conception to finishing the book? How long did that take?
It took me maybe a year and a half, just as a physical time duration. But I was anyway trying to package all my archives and method and materials when my editor from the Watkins Publishing contacted me. So it was more like trying to organize what I had already and then sort of crystallize the structure and the topics.
Well, that would be hard with your extensive knowledge and experience of Shodo. Yeah, how do you take all that knowledge and put it in a book? So that must have been a challenge.
Yeah, I focused more like a key points, like both technically and also, the mindfulness aspect, but the detailed techniques, how to release the tension or activate the chi. The harder part to pick the 10 templates, which is not technically complicated, but also easy to sort of visualize when they practice. And also the meaning is not too abstract.
I see.
So I start with the pictogram-based template. So they have easier to connect the image and the meaning. That was a harder part.
I see. So many words to choose from, or so many expressions. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. So really the book offers both insight into what Shodo is, a focus on mindfulness, and then it actually guides the reader who's interested in learning Shodo on how to practice Shodo with 10 templates or 10 examples.
Right.
So if our listeners are interested, we probably should make that clear. It's a book to help you understand, but also practice Shodo.
Yeah.
And I know you cover everything from what materials, the various writing styles, and
the background as well.
Yeah. So it must have taken a lot of work. And so when your publisher contacted you, were you sort of pleasantly surprised, or did you think, oh no, how am I going to do this?
Well, that was positive surprise, but at the same time, the timing was just perfect. As I mentioned, I was trying to organize all the years of materials and the template and the sort of the structure of every lesson. So the timing was perfect. So, that was, I needed to correct more and research more. But I thought the timing was really just wonderfully fitted.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go. Maybe the universe was conspiring to help you.
Yeah, exactly. A logic of coincidence.
And it must be nice to have a publisher as well. So I self-published my book, but hopefully one day I'll have a publisher.
But you had sort of somebody helping you, right? More like editing.
Yeah, I had a editor.
The proofreading.
Yeah, technical editor. Actually, someone from my community, Caitlin
All
Kite.
right.
And yeah, she did an incredible job. So yeah, an editor makes a big difference. So you definitely need help. Yeah, so who did you write the book for? Who was your ideal reader in mind?
Well, for all my students, and also I thought more like a calligraphy teachers.
Oh, yes.
As a sort of the tip, and also Shodo learners worldwide who tried but struggled to get clear insight of Shodo and mind and body connection in this art form. So everybody who are interested in learning the art form, but also the mindfulness aspect.
Okay.
So audience was, I wanted for all of them to understand or to get a certain clear view.
So it can be a resource for teachers of Shodo. It can be a guide for students of Shodo. And I guess it could also just be ideal for someone interested in understanding what goes into the practice of Shodo and who's interested in 10 amazing words we'll talk about later. So
yeah,
makes for a great Christmas present, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Perfect timing, right?
And was it just a case of you thinking, oh, all I have to do now is transfer my knowledge and my, I guess, your program maybe that you use for workshops and whatnot into the book? Or did you spend a lot of time thinking about the book and thinking about each chapter?
Well, I thought that could be a lot easier to finish the book because I thought I just needed to correct and reorganize and but the fact was far more difficult and complex because I needed to dive into that word and really imagine if I was total beginner, how would I learn that art form without the video, through the image and the words, right?
Yeah, that was far more challenging. Yeah.
When did you learn the art form purely from the book? It's a long time ago,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, we've been lucky to have video for 20 years, 15, 20 years.
That was the hardest part. Really to clarify every movement. And also because I use a lot of the key energy movement, combined with the brush movement. So that the part alone was so hard to describe. So everybody has the clear image how the brush is reacting to particular, energy movement. And so that was, but at the end, it turned out to be really nice, clearly sort of written text.
Yeah, I remember you did a webinar for my community and you explained, you explained the energy movements. So you draw the kanji, but then afterwards you'd say, this is how the brush flows. Here's the energy. So yeah, articulating that would have been a challenge, but I'm sure you found a way. That's part of the challenge, finding a way to articulate or express ideas. But yours is also in words, but visually.
Yeah.
So that's, I imagine that was challenging.
But that was a good process for me also, also really crystallize the element. And that was a good process for me.
Yeah, writing's an interesting process. It's almost like you're having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
And you're crafting every sentence and you're making sure there's flow, and then every paragraph is succinct. And then yeah, I would struggle. Oh, when does this paragraph end? And when do I start the new one? Yes, yours would have had this extra element of obviously showing stroke order and also the energy. So, yeah, that must have been kind of creative, but challenging at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, congratulations again.
ありがとね。
So you dedicate the book to your grandmother and all your students. So would you like to talk about that?
Well, to my grandma, because she introduced me to this art of Shodo, and I started learning Shodo with her. That's why I thought, like I need to dedicate that to her. But also all my students who shared, individual experience and sometimes very intimate sort of hours, especially in the one-to-one private sessions. And I appreciate that, I was part of, or, the way I teach Shodo was part of their maybe healing process. So, because without those experiences, I couldn't have really developed this method so effectively.
Yeah, last time we spoke, you did mention how you learn so much from your students in that process.
Definitely, yeah.
And it was both a source of, I guess, Ikigai, Oshieigai, Manabigai, all these.
Oshieigai.
Value of learning and value of teaching, Oshieigai, value of teaching. Yeah, and as you mentioned, this intimate connection to people you're helping. Some who have some challenges, I think. Some of your students have some disabilities or challenges, and you use calligraphy as a way of healing. So that's interesting. So we're privileged to be able to teach because we often learn so much from the people we share our knowledge with. And I guess calligraphy is very unique because it touches on all these things we talked about last time, being present, being calm, being mindful, but almost at the same time mindless, like no mind. So it's quite be your mind, but be mindful. Yeah, how do you do that? So, and on that, I'd like to quote you from your book. So you write, "I hope you will enjoy using this book as a means of self-discovery and to find your own inner peace and harmony. And perhaps that's what people experience once they become proficient at Shodo. They develop this inner peace and harmony. And I know you practice. Do you still practice every morning?
Yeah.
That's your routine, yeah? So that's your...
So when I had not enough time in the morning, then I shift more like evening calligraphy.
Ah, nice.
Just before. So it's like a meditation in the morning or in the evening.
That's something we all need. And we talked a lot about mindfulness and Mushin on the previous episode. So yeah, if you're listening to this for the first time, I definitely recommend that you go back to 32. And quoting you again, I'll just quote you again. Zen philosophy and Shodo calligraphy are connected, especially through the practice of mindfulness, which can lead us to experience a state of Mushin. The state of Mushin, from a Zen word that can be translated as void heart, can be defined as being free from obstructive thoughts or an unoccupied heart, and is key to learning the art of Shodo. Yeah, so being free from obstructive thoughts or to have an unoccupied heart, I think's a real challenge today. Even for me, just today, I was sort of feeling anxious and stressed, and you can worry a lot.
Yeah, endlessly.
Endlessly, yeah.
But do you meditate?
Don't really meditate, but I have purchased a shakuhachi.
And you told me, yeah.
So I've made some progress.
Any Mushin moments?
Well, there is this practice where you're meant to play the lowest note consistently for at least 10 minutes. And so you don't try and play other notes. And the lowest note on the shakuhachi is the hardest to play. And so, yeah, you really have got to dedicate at least 10 minutes to just standing up, getting the right posture, relaxing, and then trying to blow this note. And it takes a little bit of correction. And so it's not for to entertain yourself, because you're just playing this one note over and over again. But my understanding of the shakuhachi is that it wasn't really designed for music. It was designed to help train a certain Zen monks to practice meditation. So that's fascinating.
Yeah. So they can hear the tone.
Yeah, the tone. Yeah,
if it's meditative enough.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Has certain disturbance.
Yeah, because the tone usually gets better as you keep going, but I don't always last 10 minutes, especially when I have an occupied heart. I rarely think, I can't do this for 10 minutes. My mind's crazy. I'll just make up a tune. So yeah, that needs some work. In some respects, though, the instrument is very simplistic. It's only got 5 holes. You can really only play 2 octaves. Yet it's very difficult. It's requires good posture, focus, a state of calmness, intention. You've got to be thinking, I want good tone, and breath work. You're obviously breathing in, blowing air, control. But I think the key is this unoccupied heart, or this being free from obstructive thoughts. So it's fascinating how Japanese culture has many of these practices that require the unoccupied heart, especially Shodo. I imagine trying to brush when you're worried or stressed would be very, very difficult. And so you emphasize this state of mushin in your calligraphy as the core foundation for learners to becoming aware of their inner energy. And last time we talked a lot about mushin, but would you like to talk more about this inner energy this time?
Yeah. So I would always call the inner energy as ki or chi. I'm sure you know that word, right?
Yes.
So that's the ki or chi is our living resource, right? And often in my workshop or courses, just before the warming up with the brush, I always take maybe a few minutes with my students to activate the chi. So there is certain movement. I mean, maybe I showed you before, and activate and let them feel, really physically feel the warmth, the chi. And so I find it's very essential.
So when you say activate their chi or ki, is that by rubbing their hands together or doing certain exercises?
Like a posture. And I mean, we start releasing the tension or stress from the shoulder or the upper body, especially. So the blockage is less, because when the energy or ki flows from our tummy area, from the hara, they need to rise up the chest and past the shoulder and the elbow and the wrist and to the hands. So this is the chi movement or passage. So here have to be totally free from stress and tension, and then it's easier to activate the energy and let them be aware of that, their own living resource. And that, I think, helps a lot, because otherwise, you cannot visualize the chi, your own chi. But to imagine this the chi passage, and basically through the ink and the brush, we bring that out of the body and onto the paper, so it's visible. So that's the foundation that, like I want them to get that sort of concept, right?
An energy flow.
Yeah. So everything what they see in front of their eyes is the reflection of your body and mind connection. So it's the visible way how your energy flows.
Yeah, we touched on that last time, how the ink never lies.
And yeah, big time, right?
the ink is a reflection of your energy. Not just your energy, but I guess your state of mind, and if you're calm. It also makes me think, and I think I've heard this, that the hara, is the stomach or the belly, is like a second mind.
Yeah.
And the Japanese language has quite a few idiomatic expressions for the belly or the stomach to express emotion, like hara tatsu, like when your hara is standing, when your stomach is standing, you're angry. And you can feel that, like when you're angry, you sense something in your stomach. And
yeah.
So as a calligrapher and a teacher, do you see the stomach as a second mind?
Wow.
Or is it a bit different?
Second mind. Second mind. I'm not sure whether I would use the term, but I think it's the center point, the energy center point.
So it's like your energy well, is it? The energy well, where the energy starts from.
Yeah, it so springs out.
I see, yeah.
So once you are, in being a mushin when it comes to Shodo, right? So you are already aware of the chi. I guess one should be. But the more you focus on the hara, more activated your energy becomes. So then you can go another stage, right? So that's, it doesn't take, it takes quite a long time to feel and understand that stage. But through the calligraphy, it gets much easier to reach that point. Yeah.
This is interesting because I imagine it's a challenge. Is it a challenging practice for the beginner? Is like the beginner failure rate high? Do people just think, oh, this is too challenging? Or do you guide them really slowly? And is it just about, is that the first step, getting the chi flowing and getting relaxed before you try and brush?
Well, at the same time.
At the same time?
Yeah, because you need to see it. And, while you're calligraphing, it's, the body synchronizes much easier with the energy flow. So your body have to be always on the move with the brush.
With the brush.
So the brush follows your chi energy rather than your body try to conduct the brush. And then once you sort of got that point, you could see the brush moves much lighter and lighter. And you become more aware of the light energy flow.
I see.
Because you're seeing it every moment, every present moment. And that's the stage already, they would feel much, like more harmonious, like inner peace is there. So it's more about the process than creating a beautiful calligraphy piece. Like momentum awareness, I think that's very important. And they can see it on the paper. So
that reminds me of, I guess, the do aspect, it's practice based rather than goal focused.
Yeah.
And you encourage your students also to, rub their ink out, so you don't have liquefied ink. You actually instruct your students to. What is that called? So it's basically solid ink, and then they have to rub it.
Sumi ink stick.
Yeah, ink stick. Yeah, and then they have to rub that with water and
the water inside, and then on the ink stone. So it doesn't have to be long period of time, but at least like 5 to 10 minutes. That would make you really calm and the stage of arriving here and now, and you switch off your thoughts and daily routines. I find that it's very important stage. I try to combine that at least even 5 minutes.
That makes sense.
Release the tension.
That kind of prepares you for what you're doing. Maybe it's also showing appreciation and respect to the art or to the practice.
And it opens your senses.
The smell and the touch.
Yeah, you see the water changing, the color, and you have the scent of sumi and all the texture of paper and stone. This organic experience, I think, that also activate.
There is so much chaos and so much addictive behavior to social media. And I think a good example and a more extreme example is TikTok. Now it's very short movie.
Have you tried that, TikTok? Have you got an account?
I tried it it's quite a long time ago, 4 years ago, because I thought I better get my brand name. So I wanted to get Ikigai Tribe as the brand name.
And how did
I just remember watching all these random videos. And then someone on an interview the other day, I just thought, this is crazy. Why am I watching all these strange videos of nothing I'm really interested in? And then someone said basically the great thing about TikTok, as in for TikTok, how they manipulate people is apparently it's not searchable. You just get these videos sent to you.
It's like a passive tsunami, right?
So this is really important, to have a practice in a chaotic world where the attention span is slowly decreasing. And are you noticing new challenges from teaching Shodo compared to maybe 10, 15 years ago? Are you finding people have less attention span, or do you attract a certain type of student who's actually interested in Shodo? So maybe they want to learn this. But you have a daughter, yes, and she might have you have all these challenges with parenting, I'm sure, with them having a phone and social media. Yeah, is it impacting your work?
The way I teach hasn't changed or affected. And I notice I'm really lucky enough to have learners and students who understand the value of this art form, including the mindfulness aspect,
yes,
or meditative aspect. But then, on the other hand, through the TikTok or YouTube and these, there are certain audience, because the way, some sort of calligraphers show the technique, the way they do the things, when it's not correctly done, there is a danger that those, the consumers also, copy.
Pick up on that, and the copy.
And use their time and energy in the wrong movement. So there are some cases I have to sort of adjust back the certain basic brush movement, which they had learned from YouTube or videos.
I see.
The wrong angles and tension. And that's, I found so pity. that's the only sort of not the positive side of
I see.
these, the platforms, because it's easy and it looks, easy and fast to do this and that. But in fact, it's just different, right? So there are some cases coming up like this.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people would go to YouTube now. Probably not TikTok. Yeah. They'll probably go to YouTube and think
more YouTube. Yeah.
And they probably don't understand how to, hold the brush properly, or I guess they develop these bad habits, and then you're telling them or showing them how to unlearn these bad habits so they can start again from a place of that's going to help them.
It's pity, right? Because you spend a lot of time and energy, but it's just based on not sort of
foundations,
proper foundation. So that's the only part I find a bit not positive, but otherwise,
I mean,
it's been positive, I think.
And I guess it also opens up people to discover who you are when they see you brushing on video. They can see how you approach it and see your energy and see how you express yourself. So that's fascinating to watch. The person who did my calligraphy, she does short videos, I think, on Instagram. She has a fairly modern style. And yeah, it's mesmerizing just to see her quickly, in the space of 10 seconds, draw some really beautiful calligraphy. It's like, wow, that's 25, 30 years of practice being articulated in 10 seconds. So it's also wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, the door really, the shodo, so the door in these practices really matters. The foundation, the practice, the order, the correctness, the form. I think form's the word. Yeah, really matters. And that's what's fascinating about many Japanese arts or crafts, this focus on practice and form rather than end or destination. And I think we also talked about that last time. So let's move on and talk. Maybe we'll turn this into a bit of a Japanese lesson today. So you picked 10 words, and we probably won't have time to go through all of them, but I've picked out a few. One that's interesting for me, it goes back to my days of working in a restaurant, is yorokobi. So
yorokobi?
Yeah.
So let me just...
And I remember working at a restaurant as first I was a kitchen hand, then I was a chef, and then I began to wait tables. And I remember the expression, I used to have to say, "Hi, yorokonde." So with pleasure. So yeah, yorokobi means joy. So why did you choose that word?
Well, the meaning is nicely uplifting to start with. And also, it's one of our major emotional feelings, right? It's joy. And also the ideogram of yorokobi in kanji, I thought it's nicely described and easy to envisage, like the mouth and smiling face sometimes. So that's the reason I wanted to use this yorokobi. So it's connect their joy and also, the image of joy. So I thought it's easy to connect these two elements.
Sure. Well, maybe we'll have to put the kanji characters in the show notes so people can have a look at them. Yeah. So yeah, joy, yorokobi, yorokobu. So all these words come back to me when I was looking at your book, but you surprised me with a few words. Either I didn't know existed, and one was waki. So what's waki?
The waki.
Yeah.
So 2 kanjis. The wa is peace, harmony, and ki is, as we mentioned, is the chi, the living resource. And I translated the energy of peace. Well, that's the sort of 2 kanji as one word. You don't really use often. You don't really hear often.
Yeah, I never heard this.
It's more like an old form. But then I thought it's perfect, to have those 2 kanji as a template to practice. Because then I thought, in addition to the meaning and the ideogram of those 2, while you practicing, especially at the final stage, you calligraph with mindfulness input.
That makes sense.
Based on the meaning. So I wanted to have that and share that with students or learners. That's why I use that waki.
Well, that makes sense. Sort of this harmonious energy comes to mind. Like, you have to have this harmonious energy to do the
exactly. So
this energy of peace.
You reach even more harmonious.
And there are 2 significant words. I mean, wa is such an important word in Japanese culture. You have heiwa, chowa, all these variations of wa. I think it was, it's the current emperor's reign is Reiwa, yeah. So
there's the wa in there.
So it's very important. And ki, and you describe ki interestingly as energy, as a living resource. So that's an interesting way to understand it, not just as energy, but this living resource we have access to, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you are weak or when you are not well, it takes longer to activate your chi, even in the lesson. So it's also like a measurement. Also, like in autumn, winter, it takes longer to activate. So it's the reflection of your well-being too, right?
Japanese, you're so philosophical with your words. Like, we just think of energy as energy. I'm hungry, I need more energy. But Japanese culture goes so deep. But activating this energy, but also having this harmonious or energy of peace. It's a beautiful image to have this harmony coming together with energy. And I guess what we haven't said is when people do practice calligraphy or shodo, they often repeat the same word or character many times. So I guess if you're writing these words out many times, you're reinforcing the meaning, and they're all positive words. So this is a good thing.
And your body learns every time. So next time when you learn or when you do the warming up practice, it goes much more automatically,
and more natural.
And your body remembers that peaceful momentum or harmonious, like the body remembers that. So then it's get easier because even when you're hectic and stressed out, as soon as you set your mind into this, the shodo mode or setup, more than your mind, your body shift into that, more calmer stage. And then it gets easier and quicker. So it's already like a meditation, but more naturally, your body is set to do that. So many, students sometimes, I'm too stressed out to do the practice today. But then I said, use that, like your body remembers much clearly, like deeper than you think. So when you sit and start rubbing the ink, then you are already calm.
It's like learned behavior. If it's a positive practice and it consistently puts you in a certain state. Obviously, in this case, a positive, relaxed state. I guess, it's almost like these triggers. Well, if I just start rubbing the ink stick, it's like this cue for your mind or your heart
exactly.
to calm down. For someone
it's
like
very
you,
clear, very clear.
For someone like you who's done this for so long, I'm wondering if, and this I might be wrong, but does this give you yutori when you practice calligraphy? Does this almost relax you to a point where because yutori is this idea where you probably don't do anything and you're relaxed, you have this mental space, you have this elbow room. And it's one of my favorite Japanese words. But you've done Shodo for so long. It must be so familiar. Does it give you a sense of yutori?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh.
The fact that you take time, to do this, because yutori, without, let's say, your inner filter, right? When your inner filter is not clean or cleansed or loud, you can have time for yutori, but not really yutori quality. So first, you need to cleanse your inner filter, right?
Nice.
Then first time you can regenerate and activate chi or energy. And then you have the quality yutori time, I find.
Nice. Yeah.
The whole process, it's very sort of valuable thing.
Calming, valuable. It's like you're connecting to yourself. Yeah. You're having this intimacy with yourself, and you obviously you also reach states of flow, and flow has a few meanings. There's that idea that a challenge to be met and you have the skill sets. So maybe sometimes if you're commissioned to do something quite difficult, maybe a difficult kanji or maybe kanji with a large brush, and that would take very thoughtful effort and might be challenging, and you might get into that state of flow. But maybe there's also this casual flow to your whole day or life, or just the practice of Shodo as you go from this hectic or busy state to a calmer state. And then in that you find, or you feel that yutori, that you have space, you're not worried, you're free from concern. Yeah, so it's such an amazing practice to do with so many benefits.
I think so, yeah.
And then the added bonus of the word you focus on and the meaning behind it. So another word that I found fascinating, and I didn't know this one either, is unsui. So what's unsui?
You never heard that?
Maybe, but I think it reminds me of anime or something. I'm not sure.
But you seen the kanji. Yeah. You knew the kanji, the meaning, right?
I can, from the kanji, I can gain some understanding, but it's not a common word. Yeah, it's not something you'd hear very often.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's the clouds and water, and especially in Zen terms, they use a lot. It's like the young monk's name. It's very like a popular name for monks, I think, because it symbolizes the concept of a free spirit. So like a cloud in the sky, so moving and, like forming one by one, and like a water, how it flows freely. So that's the free spirit. So not stuck to one place. So you are always on the move and moving. On the flow.
It's, I mean, you translated it as floating clouds and water.
Without a pause.
Without pause.
Yeah.
But that's reflective of nature. If you look up the sky, even if you think the clouds aren't moving, they are. And then if you look back, their forms changed. And of course, water, unless you've got it in a cup,
Yeah.
But even if you pick up the cup, it starts to move. Yeah, so these words are so connected to these themes of nature, how things are ephemeral and constantly changing, and clouds will dissipate and vanish and they're gone forever.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a beautiful image.
Yeah, the image also, I thought for practicing calligraphy, it's easy to connect. Everybody has association with water, flowing and flowing clouds.
Yes, I can see that now. Yeah. I mean, there's water in the ink, and in a way, the brushing of a stroke is kind of almost could be cloud-like. It's never going to happen again, and yeah. But I guess you capture that form on the paper, but it's that floating process almost when you brush. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to do it lightly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so must have been because I see you put a lot of thought into selecting these 10 words.
Oh yeah, big time.
But you also had to make them reasonably doable, brushable.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the first one we didn't talk about, Nichigetsu, but I imagine you chose that because that's fairly beginner friendly, the sun and moon.
Yeah. And technically also like one have to have those basic movements cleared in order to move to the next template. And also Nichigetsu, it's, it's the pictogram. So you can clearly envisage the sun and the moon, the light of those, or, individual sort of input of those two elements. So that was really easy to start with. I was so sure that we should start with Nichigetsu and then sort of develop, as a foundation.
I think that's what I learned when I first went to Japan, and I was a restaurant trainee, and the president's wife of this restaurant chain would teach us Japanese. And then one day she decided we'd learn calligraphy. And yeah, definitely I learnt Nichi, sun, but we actually learnt Ichigo Ichie because
that's nice.
It was nice. And at that time, the Forrest Gump movie was coming out.
Ichigo Ichie. Yeah, that was a Japanese title, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was like the tagline.
Ichigo Ichie.
And then I saw the movie, and it really made sense. That was, very good, I guess, marketing to use that phrase to describe the life of Forrest Gump. So that was a fun memory, but it was very easy to do the Ichi. And then, what am I saying? But yeah, it was very easy to do Ichi. But we also learnt how to do moon and sun, I think. But Ichigo Ichie wasn't too difficult. I've actually still got the kanji in an old box, so I kept it. Yeah, it's sort of a nice
proverb to idiom to practice.
That could be in your second book.
Ichigo Ichie. I did a workshop with that theme.
That
was, but then like often in calligraphy, like Ichi looks so simple and clear. Yeah? That's often more difficult one for learners because it's need a precise, like movement and the breathing and everything.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's just one horizontal stroke, but you begin to touch, move across, let go. We should explain what Ichigo Ichie means. So how would you describe that?
Ichigo Ichie is, so literally translated, Ichi is one, but only once, one time only. And go is more like the chance or occasion or time. And then Ichigo Ichie, the last one, is to meet or to encounter more than two elements or two people. Doesn't have to be two persons. It can be very abstract as to So it's like only one encounter of life or something like that.
Yeah. Emphasizing it'll never happen again.
So present moment.
Mm.
So we need to cherish that moment because this moment will never come or happen again.
Mm.
So it's can be a cup of tea or can be the cloud of the morning, can be the person you just, caught eye on the tram. That's more like the momentum.
Yeah.
That's what I explain
to
people.
Yeah, I think the Forrest Gump movie depicted that really well. There are all these little...
Yeah.
I mean, some were funny scenes, but these scenes where he meets Bubba, his friend Bubba, on the bus, and then when he dies in his arms, all that stuff. So lots of good examples of that in that movie. But we should point out that this is not in your book.
Yeah, that's true.
But maybe in your second book. But something that's in your book, and it's one of my favorite words, is Ikigai. So let's talk about
Ikigai.
that.
But you're a specialist, aren't you?
Maybe getting there. But I love how you described it. How did you describe Ikigai?
I said the sparks of life.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Because
that's what it is to you?
That's what it is to me. I mean, what did you think this explanation, how I wrote in the book?
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, that's a beautiful way to describe it. Because there is this debate on whether you can have only one true Ikigai, or like Ken Mogi describes Ikigai as a spectrum of many things in your life that give your life value, meaning, purpose. But it's often described to me as, Ikigai, another Japanese friend said, Ikigai is something that gives you a little lift, just gives you that little bit of extra energy. And other Japanese have said it's this beautiful concept that's tied to your sense of self and your soul and your spirit. But sparks of life is nice because it suggests that there's possibly more than one, and it gives you that key or that energy.
Also,
so I like it.
It's a very deep meaning, Ikigai.
Yeah, I'm still learning a lot about it. What I found actually is it's quite a challenging word to write when you use kanji. But behind Ikigai. Me, actually, you can see you're using
3 kanji
and the hiragana script.
1 key,
Because that's what I found. Most people only write it as hiragana except for the first character, and they tend to use right guy with hiragana script. And I've heard a few things. I've heard it's masculine if you use the kanji, and it's more feminine just to write it in hiragana, the last 3.
Just a purely visual flow, I think.
Yeah. So this is interesting because I'm sort of thinking this is fairly challenging. So why did you choose Ikigai? Is it meant to be a challenging one for your students, and also obviously great meaning in the word?
Yeah, I wanted to use the word which is started to be known outside Japan. So, people has a bit of idea, but not really know the meaning, like a wabi-sabi, sometimes very much in use, but still abstract. Yeah. So you have not clear idea what it is. And I wanted to pick 1 or 2 words like that. Also, when the meaning is nicely fit. So like this, I could show through the pictogram and ideogram, just the background of the kanji and, the meaning of it. The rest, they can sort of think and flow their individual ikigai. But I just wanted to give the, the factual frame, what the kanji means.
Well, on that, so we'll have to provide show notes, but so the first two characters is from the verb ikiru, yes? So you've got sho, but it's really ikiru, and ru's essentially dropped. And then it's an interesting word because you're combining the verb ikiru.
Yeah.
You're dropping ru, and then you're compounding it with gai. And gai is interesting because it has two characters. Yeah. So the first character, what's that? Because I've read it means either armor or shell.
Well, depicts the hard shell of a newly sprouted plant or tree. So it's the shell, but not only the turtle shell or the shell from the the seashell. It's the idea that when the new the plant or tree, the sprout comes,
I see,
there's the shell. I mean,
the head almost.
Yeah. So that's another sort of description of shell. So active, right?
And then the last character is interesting because I don't think I've ever seen it before, and my understanding it means beautiful or patterned, or represents a pattern or a beautiful pattern. But maybe it has other meanings. Yeah.
The pattern, it's the ideogram, right?
Yeah.
So the upper part illustrates like being divided into two in a symmetrical pattern. So when you see the kanji, there is the middle part totally free, empty, right? And then the lower part, which is like a bun. The lower indicates. So two together means then the value and the beauty. So that's the developed meaning. And then gai, like worth or value of something.
It's a fascinating word. So, yeah.
It's abstract, but it makes sense in a sort of broader way, right?
Well, it should make sense to me because I do a whole podcast on it. So
yeah, that's true.
So I was very glad to see that in your book, and I love how you describe it, sparks of life. And so moving on, this one's interesting because it's a proverb, or is it actually a yoji jukugo? So it's a 4-character. Is this a 4-character kanji? So not a 4-character, or it's a 4-character kanji. That's essentially a proverb, I guess, and it's
that's the proverb.
Yeah, nana korobi ya oki, and this, some people might know this. It's getting a little bit popular. So what's this one mean, and why did you choose this one?
That means 7 falls, 8 rises. I wanted to pick like a yojijukugo in this style, not too complicated to practice, but also like the proverb which has the positive, uplifting meaning.
Yeah, so we should break it down. So should we break it down first? Like, so nana is 7.
Nana is 7. And korobi, it falls or fall, to fall.
Like fall over.
8,
fall down.
And 8, hachi, nana korobi ya is hachi, so 8 or 8 times. And oki is to rises, right? To get up. So one can already envisage sort of abstract movement or the picture, right? So that means we will experience a lot of ups and downs in life, but we'll be fine in the end. It's more like describes to accept the taku and our difficulties again
and again. Yeah. Does it also mean to have like persistence and not give up, to keep Keep trying, or is that a Western interpretation?
I think it's more like persistent, keep trying, but more like until one overcome. I understand it's not necessary that visibly you have a result.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like the inner overcome of difficulties. That's, I would say. So it's not always visible physical overcome as such.
And so it's not always used in relation to one specific goal. Because I think in the West,
think so.
Yeah, in the West, we, as I mentioned to you, some people love this expression so much they tattoo it on their arm or shoulder, and they think, oh yeah, like don't give up, and it's persistence. And if you've got a goal, you've just got to keep trying, even if you fail 5, 6, 7 times, you rise again. But the impression I'm getting
of course,
you,
that's clear of the meaning as well, right?
Okay.
But I understand a bit more like the mental sort of ups and downs. So even you cannot see the light, it would be there. You just cannot see it this moment. So maybe open another door or go to another path. So it's got deeper sort of darkness and the light.
So it sounds like there's an element of hope to it. There's hope for you.
That's what I would explain.
Yeah, as a student of Japanese, this is where the language is fascinating. And then, like when I remember reading this the first time and thinking, what's this? I can see 7 and 8, and I'd forgotten all this kanji. But then, remembering, korobu, fall down, and then okiru, to rise up. And we just don't have these expressions in English where you're just taking these letters and I guess verbs, not verbs, but verb stems, or korobi, nana korobi ya oki, so like 7 fall, 8 up, or 8 rise. But there's what's conveyed is beyond that. So it's a very simplistic way to describe something very profound and meaningful. And this is, as we mentioned before, this is a type of word structure, a 4 kanji word structure. Yeah, so there's 4 kanjis to convey something quite deep or profound or meaningful. Yeah. And there are whole books you can buy. I remember I went to Japan and I got like a little book on
Nanakorobi.
I know, Yoji Jukugo for like
lots of them, right?
Grade 6 or something to try and learn them. So Japanese learn these as students. Yeah, these 4 kanji proverbs, Yoji Jukugo, or 4 kanji words. And this one's definitely one that's becoming popular outside of Japan.
How would you translate that when you sort of introduce that Nanakorobi Aoki?
This was interesting.
Non-Japanese.
Yeah, it's because this is interesting. We touched on this before. Like if you literally took it, some people think, hang on, if you fell down 7 times, wouldn't you just stand up 7 times? Because you fall down once, you get up once.
I know.
But I always thought it means you've tried and then you've fallen down. And so you've tried and fallen down 7 times, and then you rise up 8. So that's how I've always explained it. But from you...
Yeah, really? That's how you explain it? Okay.
Yeah. What about you, though? Because I think you mentioned something earlier to me that's a little bit different.
I explain always, our rises, like okiru. Our rises count for more than our falls. Korobu, because when we are born as a baby, we could not stand up ourselves. We needed help. So one rise is always plus, so extra. That's why even, like you didn't fall. There's always one bonus of rise up there. So that's how I understand this proverb.
So it's like we're already starting from, we've risen once.
Yeah.
And we've fallen.
We have a one bonus.
So it's interesting. So there is this subtlety to the proverb. But I think, the key is just to have this open mind and embrace it. And you can maybe even add your own meaning to it if it's helpful. So for me, it's always been this idea of perhaps persistence, but it also seems to reflect the true nature of life. We just go through ups and downs. And the important thing is, as you mentioned, is to keep going and have that hope. I guess in English, we say, where one door closes, another one opens. So maybe we would say
positively, like a hopeful.
So if we said, if 7 doors close, 8 open or something, maybe not like that, but
One of the teachers sort of mentioned, like as a baby, we needed help, so there's a one rice extra. So I think she mentioned when we are in difficulties and couldn't move, there would be always a hand to help, just as a symbol. And when you can also help to
others
give another rice.
Nice.
I'm not sure how it's connected literally, but I just remember one of the teachers, she mentioned that.
I see.
That could be.
Yeah. I never knew about that. Yeah. So it's interesting. And this is what I love about Japanese words and expressions. There's so much meaning behind them that for me, I'm doing like a whole podcast on Ikigai, and it's led me to learning so much. So let's finish with one more word. And this goes back to this amazing word of the mind. And so the word is shonen. And I wasn't really familiar with this one either.
Oh, no?
No. So I'm always learning. So what is shonen?
Shonen is the right mindfulness, I would translate, or it can be right memory, right awareness. It's one of those elements from the Buddhistic Eight Noble Path.
I see.
So I wanted to use this because of the mindfulness aspect, because not only the meaning, but I thought I could combine, the meaning of mindfulness while they do the calligraphy practice. So a bit abstract, but still they can, put this input of being in mindful state. So I just picked that as the last template to wrap the practice.
Yeah, it seems like it's reinforcing the message of
just
mindfulness and
underlining.
It almost reminds me of, probably not, but kind of chanto, like the idea of doing things properly or doing things well. Yeah, so it's a good way. That's a smart way to remind your students at the end of the book. This is the last template or character to focus on, right mindfulness.
Yeah.
Are a good reminder. So that's 10. There were a few we didn't touch on. So if you're interested in learning more words and learning how to start the journey of Shodo and learning what's involved, you cover many things. So you cover how to build a regular practice of Shodo, preparing your space to practice. You talk about the materials. You explain how you rub the ink to have a calm mind, how to release physical tension, how to raise your ki, your energy, practical brush work, how to prepare the paper, how to hold your brush, how you sign your work, the warming up with 2 fundamental brush strokes, basic techniques. So you've covered a lot in your book.
Yeah, really a lot, right?
And these 10 amazing words, expressions. So it's a gold mine. It's something to explore.
And it's also nice to read, I think. Even you don't, like a practically practice with the book, the background of pictograms and ideogram and the meaning of each word. I think it's nice to read. And
even if you
can always go back to
it. Yeah, even if you're not going to practice Shodo straight away, it could be something just inspiring or something you can learn about.
Yeah.
And we also get to see your calligraphy too in the book. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
all the original templates.
That's
the
artwork
images
in itself there. So yes, now that you've finished, you've had the book out for a few months, do you have the feeling of yorokobi, or do you have the feeling of unsui or ikigai, or do you have the feeling of shonen? What feelings do you have?
Maybe shonen. No, I had a yorokobi.
Yeah,
definitely.
Joy.
Yeah, but I would keep doing what I do, and it would be nice to have continuity of like packaging and collecting all the materials and the method I do, because this is the first book and it covers more like an introduction. So
does that mean
there is always the other doors to develop to, right? Because the calligraphy itself is such a rich sort of deep art form.
So do you think there could be a second book or a series of books? That
would be nice, no?
Yeah, you could do.
Well, first, let's see how it goes.
Yes. You need
but definitely it's a good foundation, I think.
Yes, indeed.
Totally, yeah.
So if people are interested, where can they purchase your book?
Well, it should be available worldwide, or those online platforms or good book retailers.
So perfect gift for Christmas.
I think so. It's a nice organic sort of feeling, the paper and so that's the size.
Sure. Do you want to show a few of the characters or templates?
So which one shall we?
Let's do
Ikigai?
Yeah, let's do Ikigai. And
so it's like a bit of spoiler.
There we go.
So we start, like a pictogram. Can you see?
Yeah.
So every lesson, I start with a pictogram, ideogram. So you have abstract idea as a frame. And then, share the technical key points, like jumping or nuki technique. So they know what they will practice and learn. And like my usual lesson, I show the energy movement.
Yes.
As the flow. So not the visible one, but like a bigger energy movement. So they have idea how they flow. And then goes the details. So technical details to practice one by one. So only the part.
Wow. So you're going into great detail for each template, for each word.
Exactly how I normally teach. And then fine tuning and the seisho, the final sort of stage. And one doesn't have to do it at once, but that's the flow of one lesson.
I see. Yeah. So the book could be a companion for quite a while if you take Shodo up and practice it seriously with all the detail you go through. You could do one character a month, I guess. Could be
Yeah.
Could be something you practice for a whole year. So, well, there we go. So, congratulations.
Thank you. Arigato.
My pleasure. So,
and congratulations on your book too.
Yeah, thank you.
I got it as a Kindle.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it, writing a book? But it's very satisfying when you get feedback and to think, wow, someone I don't know is reading my book. So it's amazing. Yeah. But then, of course, you have to sell it. So lots of marketing and doing podcasts. But yeah,
it's available in Amazon Germany.
Yeah, yes.
Right? It's worldwide?
Yeah. Right? So hopefully this will be a good month of book sales for both of us.
Yeah, Christmas.
But thank you, so much for your time and for your wisdom.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. I always enjoy catching up with you. So let's do that next year. Maybe we'll see you at a summit, and I'll definitely have you back as a podcast guest again.
Oh, yes. That would be nice.
Thank you, and speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
ありがとね。
はい。Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ikigai Podcast. To learn more about Ikigai or to become a certified Ikigai Tribe coach, visit ikigaitribe.com.